What powers a Jedi's lightsaber and the Death Star's fury? Kyber crystals, sacred to Jedi, hunted by the Empire. These Force-connected gems hold secrets that shape the galaxy, from choosing their wielders to fueling destruction. Kyber crystals are more than meets the eye. Let's dive into their hidden power. You know Kyber crystals are used by the Sith and the Jedi to construct their lightsabers. But here's something many don't realize. The Kyber crystals are actually alive in the Force. They're not sentient in the way people are, but they're deeply attuned to the Force, almost like Force-sensitive gems. You can't just mine one and jam it into a lightsaber. It's way more spiritual than that. When young Jedi initiate the Gathering, they travel to sacred places like the Crystal Caves of Ilum. There, in a quiet, meditative state, each Jedi must connect with the Force and find their crystal. But really, it's the crystals that finds them. The connection is subtle but powerful. It's a kind of silent resonance. The right crystal will call out through the Force to the Jedi it aligns with. It might shimmer more brightly, pulse with warmth, or even guide the Jedi through visions and emotions. No two bonds are the same, and not everyone is ready for theirs to appear. The whole ritual is designed to test patience, focus, and spiritual clarity. If a Jedi is clouded by fear or anger, the crystal won't reveal itself. But when they're calm, in tune with the Force, and ready to grow, the crystal responds. It's not about control, it's about harmony. This moment is a huge deal in Jedi training. This hidden truth reveals why lightsabers are so personal. They aren't just built, they're forged through a connection with a living part of the Force. So yeah, turns out those glowing crystals, they've got a mind of their own. But where are these powerful crystals hidden? For the Jedi, finding a Kyber crystal is a major deal. It's not just some supply run, it's a rite of passage. Jedi younglings travel to places like Ilum or Jeddah and go through the Gathering. Because of that, Kyber crystals aren't treated like tools or parts. They're revered. Jedi meditate with them, bond with them, and respect the heck out of them. That's why every lightsaber feels so personal. It's more than a weapon, it's a reflection of the Jedi's growth, purpose, and their connection to the Force. Now, of course, the Empire being the Empire, they didn't care about any of that. They harvested Kyber by the ton for weapons like the Death Star. But to the Jedi, each crystal was a gift. Sacred, rare, irreplaceable. So yeah, next time you see a lightsaber light up the screen, just remember there's a whole lot more behind that glow than just cool effects. So if you've ever watched a Star Wars duel and thought, whoa, that color choice is doing some heavy lifting, you're absolutely right. Lightsaber colors aren't just cool looking, they're legit reflections of the wielder's role, personality, and connection to the Force. Blue? That's the classic. Jedi Guardians wield it. These are your frontline defenders of peace, the ones who step up when diplomacy fails. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, total blue blade energy. Combat savvy, fearless, and just a little bit reckless. Green lightsabers are for the thinkers, Jedi consulars. These are the mystics and philosophers of the Order, more into deep Force meditation and negotiation than lightsaber flourishes. Master Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, icons, green blade vibes all the way. And of course, the iconic red saber, reserved almost exclusively for Sith and dark side users. The red lightsaber symbolizes the darkness and corruption of its holders. So the color of the lightsaber, powered by the Kyber crystal, is sort of a spiritual fingerprint. But there's more to the reserved red sabers that scream death and horror than just a color swap. The red hue isn't natural. It doesn't come from the Kyber crystal itself, but rather is forged. When a Sith picks up a Kyber crystal, they don't just pop it into a hilt and call it a day. They bleed it. Kyber crystals are naturally connected to the Force. Jedi usually bond with them through peace, trust, and harmony. It's kind of a spiritual handshake. The Sith, on the other hand, don't follow the same path. Instead of bonding with a crystal, they dominate it, pouring in all their pain, hatred, and rage until the crystal cracks under the pressure and turns red. But that twisted connection actually makes the Sith's bond with their crystals ridiculously powerful. The more anger they push into the blade, the stronger it becomes. Some ancient Sith even experimented with stacking multiple crystals to supercharge their sabers, creating weapons so unstable they practically screamed when ignited. This is why Sith lightsabers feel so intense. They're not just weapons, they're rage made physical. Every time you see one crackling and hissing in battle, you're watching raw dark side energy barely held in check. Kyber crystals don't just respond to that darkness, they amplify it. In the hands of a Sith, they become pure destruction. But is there any saving from this destruction? Well, here's something that feels straight out of a redemption arc. Kyber crystals can actually be unbled. That's right, if a Sith corrupts a crystal with hate and turns it red, a light side user can bring it back. This process is called purification, and when it happens, the crystal turns white, like a clean slate, a reset button for the Force. And who do we have to thank for showing us this in action? Ahsoka Tano. After leaving the Jedi Order and going solo, Ahsoka ends up facing off with an Inquisitor, one of those dark side hunters sent after surviving Jedi. She beats him, but instead of tossing his lightsaber aside like junk, she does something way more meaningful. Ahsoka takes the red Kyber crystals from his weapon and, using her connection to the Force, purifies them, literally healing the damage done by the dark side. The result? Her now iconic white lightsabers. They're not Jedi weapons, not Sith either. They're uniquely hers, a perfect symbol of someone who's done with labels but still deeply in tune with the Force. This isn't just cool lore. It says something huge about Star Wars as a whole. Redemption is possible. The Force isn't static. It responds to intention, healing, and balance. So while red sabers scream domination and anger, white sabers, they whisper redemption, resilience, and a kind of peace that doesn't come easy. But healing crystals aren't their only surprise. Turns out they've got serious firepower too. Did you know Kyber crystals have also been used to juice up starships? Yeah, these little gems are more versatile than we give them credit for. In Star Wars lore, especially in some Legends material and recent canon expansions, Kyber crystals have appeared in the power cores of massive ships. Their energy-conducting properties, combined with their force sensitivity, make them ideal for advanced propulsion systems and high-output weaponry. The ancient Jedi and Sith civilizations both experimented with Kyber-powered vessels. In the time of the Old Republic, large battle cruisers sometimes featured Kyber-enhanced cores, allowing for longer travel, stronger shields, or even energy weapons beyond the standard blaster tech. The Empire, of course, took it a step further. They had an entire Kyber crystal mining operation on Jedha. But there's evidence in canon, like Rogue One Catalyst, that Kyber research extended into Starship power systems too. Kyber-powered ships weren't exactly common, mostly because of how rare and sacred these crystals are. But when you've got the Empire's budget and complete disregard for Jedi ethics, you can make anything happen. And those same mystical crystals that bring lightsabers to life also powered the Death Star's giant planet-killing laser. Talk about dual purpose. Kyber crystals are incredibly rare and ridiculously powerful, and while the Jedi used them to uphold peace and justice, the Empire had other plans. In Rogue One, we get a pretty solid look at just how obsessed the Empire was with hoarding Kyber crystals. They completely stripped the holy moon of Jedha, tearing apart sacred Jedi temples and mining Kyber in bulk to fuel the Death Star's superweapon. And not just a few handfuls. They needed massive industrial-sized chunks to channel and amplify energy at the scale required to blow up entire planets. Casual, right? This twisted use of Kyber really shows the moral contrast between Jedi and Sith. The Jedi bonded with the crystals in sacred rituals, treating them as living Force-sensitive entities. But the Empire, they turned them into glorified space ammo. No connection, no respect, just pure exploitation. The irony is wild. The same crystals used to protect life and light were corrupted into something capable of extinguishing entire civilizations. It's like using a soul to power a death machine. So the next time you watch Alderaan get obliterated, just remember it wasn't tech alone that made that possible. It was Kyber, a Force-connected miracle, hijacked and weaponized by those who wanted to control the galaxy through fear. But if you thought turning Kyber crystals into a planet killer was wild, wait till you hear about the time someone tried to build a lightsaber completely out of Kyber crystals. Picture this, a lightsaber made entirely out of Kyber crystals. Not just powered by one, literally built from multiple Kyber shards fused together. It wasn't just flashy, it was insanely powerful. Naturally, this wasn't your average Jedi's sidearm. The saber's creator? Some long-forgotten, Force-sensitive genius who quickly realized he'd made a galaxy-breaking mistake. Once he saw how destructive this thing could be, he shattered the blade and scattered its pieces across the galaxy. Why? To keep it out of the wrong hands. Because if the Sith, or honestly anyone, got their hands on the full thing again, game over. It's one of those classic Star Wars lessons. The Force gives you power, sure, but power without restraint? That's when everything goes sideways. The Kyber Saber wasn't just dangerous because of what it could do, but because of what it represented. Unchecked ambition, temptation, and the very real risk of tipping the balance. Even though it's not part of the current Disney canon yet, the legend of the Kyber Saber still echoes. It's a perfect example of why Star Wars myths stick with us. They're epic, sure, but they've always got a warning underneath. Talking of Star Wars myths, have you heard that not all wielders of the Kyber crystals have to be Jedi or Sith? Yep, you read that right. You don't have to be a Jedi or Sith to connect with a Kyber crystal. And in rare cases, even non-Force-sensitive individuals can form a bond with one. Take Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One. He wasn't a Jedi, he couldn't move objects with his mind or wield the Force the way Luke or Ahsoka could. But he was so spiritually in tune with the Force that Kyber crystals still responded to him. The pendant he wore, a Kyber shard, symbolizing his devotion. And when he walks into battle chanting, "I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me," it's not just a mantra, it's a kind of meditation that syncs him with the crystal's energy. And he's not alone. In some High Republic and Legends material, there are instances where Kyber crystals react to strong emotion, intense belief, or even acts of selflessness, not just Force power. So yeah, Kyber crystals may be alive in the Force, but their loyalty, that comes down to spirit, not just midichlorians. And just when you think their power stops at weapons and loyalty, Kyber crystals flip the script again by becoming keepers of knowledge itself. Most fans know Kyber crystals are what power lightsabers, but here's something even deeper. They can actually store memories and information. That's right, these shimmering Force-attuned gems aren't just energy conductors. They're like ancient databanks, holding echoes of the past. One of the most fascinating examples is the Kyber memory crystal. Hidden away during the rise of the Empire, it contained an incredibly sensitive list. Every known Force-sensitive child in the galaxy. That's not the kind of data you'd leave lying around in a data pad. The Jedi knew that Kyber crystals, through their unique Force connection, could safeguard that knowledge in a way no tech ever could. But accessing that kind of information? Not so easy. You'd need a Jedi holocron, and not just any Jedi could use one. These crystals were meant to protect the future of the Jedi Order, and only those who truly walked the path could unlock their secrets. It's this hidden role of Kyber crystals that makes them so much more than magical lightsaber batteries. They're guardians of legacy, teachers of the past, and protectors of what's to come. There you have it, 10 secrets hidden behind the Kyber crystals. Which secret did you find the most shocking? Comment below. And if you like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. More deep dives into Star Wars coming your way.